So Into the Night came about with an email from a producer called Martyn Hayes, and I met Martyn in central London, and he said, I really, really want you to look at this proposal that I've sent. It's an amazing story. I think it might be up your street. So on the tube journey back from Leicester Square to Cockfosters, I read this proposal. He'd written out sort of a couple of pages as to his association with the story, and then he sent the script, and I read both on that tube journey. I just turned the pages over like this, and as soon as I read the script, I just knew we had to do it.
Well, the sort of Bible that I've been using is Michael Sagar-Fenton's book, Penlee, The Loss of a Lifeboat. And on reflection, what's great about it is it's almost like it reads like a documentary. It's a very factual and also moving through its simplicity. It's really moving, but it tells the story. But it says what happened, and what that allows is it allowed me to kind of fill in some of those gaps in terms of character and maybe sort of more of the sort of maybe emotive elements to it.
I just thought, what a wonderful project, really, because I happened to be down there just after the tragedy, and I was very aware of the atmosphere. I was in a pub in Newlyn, and the Cornish like to sing, and people started singing, and then someone suddenly started to sing For Those in Peril on the Sea. And it was so moving, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up because it had literally just happened. It was, people felt it down there, you know.
It's almost like touching a nerve. Something happens that makes you feel, oh, I mustn't go there. Something happens that is so tragic, that is so awful, and yet this is a story that needs to be told. It's not only about heroism of the most highest order, it's not only about the community from where these people came from. It involves all sorts of people. That's the story that needs to be told, because these kind of things, I'm sure, are done not on a daily basis, but when tragedies like this happen, people should be aware of the kind of extraordinary things people do as volunteers. And that's when I read this story, I was in tears. I couldn't stop myself. I was in tears.
I do remember the news at the time, and I remember it had a massive effect on the country because it was so close to Christmas, and so many of these poor people died, including obviously the 8 lifeboat men who were volunteers. It's just such a terrible tragedy, and you sort of grow to appreciate more and more the sterling work that the RNLI volunteers do, risking their lives in these catastrophic conditions.
It's predominantly a story about the sort of resilience of the human spirit, I guess, which is what makes it so moving and so tragic. But essentially it's about human beings' need for one another in incredibly extreme circumstances.
I was just really hit by the massive sense of community and the inheritance of duty, but to that extreme scale.
I was just really blown away by the sheer courage and the realisation that they're volunteers. You know, the people from the village just ready to drop everything and right, I'm not going to miss this. I've got to get out there. And just that sheer, you know, having in the middle of your dinner, in the middle of Christmas celebrations, that you know, this is more important than everything.
These are real people's lives. This really happened and affected generations ahead, and lives lost that were never going to come back. And yet we're just trying to reenact that and bring it to people's memories, attention and awareness and the greatness of the RNLI. So I think there's quite a degree of anticipation and expectation, hoping that we can deliver what is necessary and worthwhile.
There is such a sense of crisis, but obviously you've got to sort of take on board the human things that we all feel when we're trying to be brave and when we're trying to be strong. Just stick to that as much as possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I never really see myself as a particularly brave person. I always wonder how I deal with a situation like this if I were thrust into one. As an actor, it's about, you know, putting yourself into that situation and trying as best as you can to imagine how you'd be responding in that situation. So I guess I want to, as best I can, pay homage to the people who went through it in as truthful and as honest a way as I am able.
The challenge is anticipating how we're going to make it and looking forward to getting into the room with our playthings, with our kit, in order to do justice to the story and to do justice to the characters that the story is based on.
The main challenges involved in making Into the Night is trying to rewrite the rule book of how things are made so we can give a frame of references, so we can say it's going to be a bit like this theatre production mixed with a bit of this film, but actually it's going to be not like anything. So trying to create a new way of storytelling, a new language, and then trying to find a way of doing that on camera, not just, we're a theatre company, so we're trying to bring the best of theatre, combining with some amazingly talented film people and trying to redo things. The second challenge is the story itself is, I mean, it's amazing, it is terrifying, it's a story that profoundly resonates with the community where it happened in Cornwall. It profoundly resonated with many people at the time. It means a lot to people, so there is a real imperative that we get it right and we tell it sensitively and honestly. And I think our constant mantra has been always to go back and just check in that we're not sensationalizing it, we're trying to be honest in our storytelling.
Well, I think 2 weeks rehearsal is something of a challenge, and with this, because it's such an ensemble piece and we're all playing multiple characters, not only do you have to know your own parts, you're going to have to know probably all the other parts, so you know when you come in. Because it's going to be live, that's going to be, well, a very tricky and very difficult thing to do. However, it will also be a very invigorating and a wonderful thing to do, because you will have to, you've got no choice but to perform on the day. There's no sort of second chance. So it's going to be quite an experience, and it'll be a roller coaster, and I can't wait. I'm very excited about it.
We are giving out a lot of facts, and we have to get the facts right, because this was something that really happened, a tragedy that happened. We can't get that wrong. You know, we can't get the name of someone on the boat wrong, or the time. So we are presenters. I mean, most presenters have auto cues, by the way. We don't have auto cues. We are having to learn it. So we're presenting. We each have to find a presenting character manner, and then we go into a character. So we're asked to do 2 disciplines.
Yeah. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. You know, we'll get there. We will get there. We have to, you know.
I will say I've never done anything like it before, because it's just, it's completely a piece of theatre, but also being shot for TV simultaneously. So having the camera people in with us, it's just, I do not envy the people trying to sort out where all the cameras are going to be at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of pioneering, isn't it? That it's never quite been done like this before. Normally, if you were filming it, even if it was theatre online, you kind of film section by section, put it together. So, I mean, it's been fascinating. It's been terrifying. Yeah. It's been daunting. It gives you butterflies. You start to feel a bit sick.
Getting it all in your mind, I've been finding that a big challenge.
The music and the culture is really part of the heritage of that area, and so it's really important to get it right. There are parts of this play that are quite fast, changing from boats and scenes and onto land at sea, and representing those different elements and being able to change quickly between instruments and feel, but also getting them to merge and to unite in places. And it's also is trying to keep it relatively simple, trying to keep it to the story. And the other thing that I think is a bit of a challenge with this is also making the music neutral, that the music doesn't influence your feelings or emotion towards people or events, that it has to be matter of fact, that's actually quite a complex thing to achieve.
The set is nearly at the end of its design process. It's been quite late coming together. We've got the full team now, so that's all the creative team, the sound guys, the lighting guys, the camera team, and all the stage management as well. So we're basically ready to go.
We've just seen the design, the rig, the set designs on the computer.
How many people are involved?
It's incredibly detailed and so many people involved. It's a real operation. But,
and I don't think any of us really have a complete grasp on what the finished product's going to look like yet.
Yeah.
I think we can only imagine at this stage.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
It's trying to do a huge task with limited time. And at the moment, there's, people are stretched. The staffing isn't what it used to be post-pandemic. So it's battling a lot of obstacles to try and get somewhere that will allow us to create something that hopefully people won't forget in a hurry.
None of us have done this kind of stuff before. I certainly haven't. So we are in the hands of our director. And he's been quite forthcoming, actually, in telling us what is sort of happening at the same time as we're doing it. But there are so many things happening at the same time. It's a little bit terrifying.
They're working out where to put the cameras as we are doing the scenes. But some of the scenes are very short. Sometimes it's just one line. Yeah. So the camera has to move quite quickly, or it has to cut to another camera. So it's a real hybrid we're doing.
Totally, and we have to be aware of everybody else's lines and everybody else's actions and motivations at the same time. That is a big thing. It's a big ask, I have to say. And we've only been doing this for a week, and we've got just less of the week to put it on. But it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
The advantage of it being live streamed is that we can get this out to more people than if we were just to have it in a theatre somewhere for a few days or a few nights, is that actually we can reach out and share this story, which is an important story and something that is important to remember.
With stories such as this, to be actually spoke to right down the lens is extremely arresting. And that's something that live stream theatre has, I've experienced with live stream theatre as an audience member, that you don't experience very often with film or television.
Doing it live is something that excites me greatly because it's going to be an adrenaline rush. But also the subject matter, something like this, as when I did Birdsong for original theatre, which was centred on the First World War, something like this, you feel in your own small way you're paying homage and commemorating the events that involved real life people. And that's something that's very humbling.
I just think original particularly, but all the theatre companies that have tried to keep elements of live performance going through the pandemic, hats off. I mean, it's just, yeah, you just really feel that we need to keep telling stories. That's what we do. That's who we are as a society, is who we should be. It's how we learn.
The timing is everything, and I think the timing is right. It needs to be said now, and what better time than 40 years on, lest people forget. And if we can get some people to be aware of the kind of work that's done to save people's lives, I think that can only be a good thing. And it is one of the pinnacle of, I think, human courage that I've certainly ever come across. I mean, it can't be told enough, can it?
I hope people appreciate the risks that people take for others, and I think the people in the RNLI are just the sort of fine example of doing things and not just saying things, and to physically get in a boat and go and help people kind of does speak volumes. And I think in a time when we've gone through a pandemic and a lot of people have continued making sacrifices for other people, Christmas is a time of reflection. And I think to be able to reflect on something like this that happened 40 years ago, at a time that for many people was very painful, and for the families and people involved still is really painful. I hope that people come away from it honouring that, understanding that that pain continues, but also it's really important to look back and honour people who've done just really brave things, and then we can all take something from it and you know, move forward with it.